Have you ever gone on a hike and your knee just started hurting and your back tightens up or your ankle probably felt unstable, but you thought, I'm just walking. Why is this happening? This video is for you. Because hiking sometimes seems very simple, but it's one of the most misunderstood physical activities when it comes to injury. My name is Dr. Mark Gabriel, and I have been treating patients for the last 16 years. And one of the most common patterns I always see is people that go on hikes on weekends and they're always dealing with either knee pain, plantar fasciitis, ankle pain, hip tightness, or low back issues, and they just never understand why. And today we're going to be discussing all of that. Now, hiking is not just a walk. Hiking is going to be walking on uneven terrain, change in elevation, having balance as well as coordination issues, maybe repeated impacts, and we do this for multiple hours at a time. It's a full body stability workout, and most people are very completely unprepared for it. Now, let's break this down simply. So while you're hiking, every step that you're going to take sends force through your body. So it goes up as well as it's going down. Now, when your foot hits the ground pushes back at an equal force. It's the first law of physics. And this force is going to travel to your foot, ankle, knee, hip, and spine. So if your body can be able to handle it well, that is absolutely fine. There is no problem. Now, if there isn't, then stress is going to build up. So with multiple steps, this is going to actually lead to a lot of problems later on. Your body needs three things to handle hiking. First one is going to be shock absorption. This is going to happen through your muscles. So your muscles are going to act like springs. They're going to handle the impact and they're going to soften it. But if they are weak, all of this impact is going to go straight into your joints. The second thing is going to be stability. So this is going to be through your joints and through your ligaments. So if you're stable, this is going to be great. And if your body has to stay very, very balanced through uneven ground, but if your stability is poor, your joints are going to wobble. This is going to create micro trauma over time. The third thing is going to be control. This happens through your nervous system, and your brain has to adjust constantly as you're providing all these impacts on uneven terrains. So where your foot is going to land, how your body shifts, how you react to terrain. If this system is slow, if you misstep and you can overload something, this is when injuries happen. Let's talk about why hiking causes so many injuries. Let's get very, very specific. Now, everybody says it, but I'm going to reverse it right now. Problem number one, downhill is going to be very, very dangerous than going uphill. Most people think that uphill is harder, but it feels harder, but downhill is where injuries actually happen. Why? Because your muscles are working in a braking mode. Your quads are going to be firing at 100%. They're trying to slow your body so you don't actually roll down. This is called eccentric load. Simply, this is where your muscles are going to be lengthening while working. If you're not trained for that, knee pain is just going to show up so fast. Problem number two, this is going to be your ankles. Now, if the terrain is flat, there is no problem. But on a trail, there is going to be rocks, slopes, uneven surfaces. Your ankle is constantly adjusting. You're trying to actually see which way the ankle is going to land, and your balance is going to be off. And if your balance is weak, any small instability with repeated stress, this is when you actually have a risk, a very, very high risk of strain. Now we're working our way up. The third problem is going to be the hips. Now the hips are going to be the boss of your low body. If your glutes are weak and your knees are going to be collapsing inwards, your foot is going to compensate for that. Back is going to tighten up, and this is why hikers get what we all know as IT band pain, knee pain, hip tightness. Problem number four is going to be repetition without preparation. So hikers are always taking thousands of steps on and on and on. And if your movement is going to be slightly off, multiply that by 10,000 steps minimum. A very, very small issue that you have in every step that you're taking is going to lead to a very big problem. Let's talk about problem number five. This is going to be the biggest problem. You hike only once per week, all week. You're sitting down like I am right now. You have minimal movement. And on the weekend, you go for the longest hike because it's beautiful outside. Look how sunny it is right behind me here. But this is not training. This is overload. You're putting a lot of pressure on your joints muscles and ligaments just that one time without really preparing for it throughout the week. Let's make this extremely simple. So your body adapts like this. You're going to have stress and then it's going to recover and you get stronger. So if you do not provide a lot of stress to your body consistently and you don't actually have the proper recovery, you're not going to get stronger. Most hikers do this. They put a lot of big stress on their bodies, not enough recovery, and they rinse and repeat. This is where big injuries happen. So this is where the weakest link actually gets very, very prone to injury. This is going to be tendons. Tendons are going to be what really connects the muscles to the bones. Most muscles are going to adapt fast, and this might take a few days to a few weeks, but tendons take months to adapt. So if you feel strong because the muscles are getting bigger, but the structure is not really ready because the tendons are not really adapted to what that stress is going to look like. So this is when you start having issues like Achilles tendon, knee tendon pain, plantar fasciitis, the things that we complain about all the time because the tendons have not really adapted to the type of pressure that we have been putting on them. Now we're going to talk about inflammation. Inflammation right now, there is good inflammation, there is bad inflammation. A little inflammation is good, it's healing. This is when you actually injure the muscle, micro injuries, but it's in a good way, and this is where you can get stronger. Too much all at once, this is going to cause irritation. So weekend hikers, if you're hiking only on the weekends and you're overloading your system, you're going to create more damage in your body than your body can repair. So personally, I typically celebrate when I do things multiple times per week than just doing a one big thing just one weekend out of the month. And let's just give it a quick example. So if I'm going out and doing like 2 minutes of just of walking per day, or maybe a 30-minute of walking per day, it just depends on where your level of exercise is at any given point of time. I'd rather do it multiple times per week, give yourself enough recovery, and make sure you're recovering well versus doing a 3 to 5 mile hike on the weekend, or even sometimes more for some people, and then you're recovering on the weekend and you're sitting down the rest of the week, and then you try to rinse and repeat later on. And this is why pro athletes don't have this problem. So pro athletes usually train very consistently, they build gradually, they have very small micro movements that they do, and they recover intentionally. They don't just go from 0 to 100. They live in the middle most of the time, and this is where their body actually stays very ready all the time. Now, let's talk about something very important here. We're going to talk about how to hike without getting injured. This is where people either change or they stay very stuck. Let's train for hiking, how not just hike. So during the week, I typically, if I'm having a big hike going on, or if I'm going to climb something big during the week, what I typically do is I walk periodically. I try to do maybe 30% of that big walk and continue doing every single day. You can do it on an incline treadmill if you're at the gym and you don't want to go outside, or if you don't have the time or the capacity to do so, or you do step ups so you can prepare your body for the activity that you're going to do on the weekend. And then strengthen those right areas. This is the second recommendation that I'm going to have for you today. So focus on training your glutes, your quads, especially for downhill, and your calves as well as your core. So you're not just going out for that walk and you think that this is going to be it. No, it has to actually be a full workout for your whole body. Now, the third thing I'm going to recommend, which is huge, is going to be train on downhill. And most people avoid that. You should not. So practice controlled descent. This is where injury prevention usually lives, because you're tired from going all the way uphill, half the way pretty much, and then on the way down, this is where you really need to practice how to go downhill without injuring yourself. And one thing I'm going to recommend, and here's a pro tip, when you're going downhill, make sure you tie your shoes more than when you're going uphill, because you don't want your shoes to slip inside, or you don't want your feet to slip inside your shoes, and this is where injuries actually happen more often. Now, work on improving your balance, and this is very, very simple. I do this every single day when I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth for 2 minutes in the morning. I do 1 minute standing on only the right foot, 1 minute standing on the left foot. Stand on uneven surface. If you don't have sand or any terrain that you can stand on like that, I always recommend standing on 2 or 3 pillows. And this is going to be an uneven terrain that you can be able to practice balance on. And then do very slow controlled movements like doing a squat but very slow, or do wall sits, which if you have any questions about, let me know. I'll be more than happy to show you how to do any of that. And this is going to train your nervous system on being able to really take that kind of loading going forward without having to worry too much about getting injured. Another thing I'm going to recommend, start slower than you think. Always the first 15 minutes or so of the hike, go slow, take it easy, get your body to wake up. If you can even stretch before you go on the hike, that's even better. And then respect your recovery. So after your hike, make sure you hydrate. I always hydrate here most of the day on my work days and on my off recovery days. And then stretch very lightly. Do not stretch too much after a hike, because this is when the muscles are really, really prone to injury as well. And then make sure you walk a recovery walk next day. Recovery walks are usually very small in time, so maybe 10 minutes of what your big hike is going to be. And this is where the muscles can just get to work and you can have some blood flow. Don't just sit back at your chair like I am right now and then stiffen up. Now, if hiking keeps hurting you, it is not because hiking is bad for you. It's because your body is not prepared for what hiking actually demands. Once you fix that, and hiking becomes one of the best things that can do for your health and for your heart and for your body. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach me directly. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends. If you like, please comment hike smart down there, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. And there's going to be a video coming up in the next week. And I hope that you have a very safe weekend and a very safe hike.